This is what our system produces. Competitive, manipulative gaming strategies as a mode of survival. Then, in the same breath, we try to teach our kids to be nice and share. And we wonder why an ever-increasing amount of them are on or go on to being on antidepressants later on in life. Could it have anything to do with the fact that adults do the exact opposite of what they teach their own kids to do in their own day-to-day lives? So when a child, and you might have done this, I know I did, and that's why I had a very turbulent school career. So when a child in school asks the teacher, why do I need to learn this? Or how will I need this later on in life? The teacher replies, of course you need it, or because you have to. This masks the fact that the real answer is that in a streamlined job market, you probably won't. However, school is largely a test of your character with regards to completing tasks, whether relevant or not, on time and to the required standard. This means that you will be a good worker in the marketplace, as you will not question the merits of the task in hand, and will instead make sure you do what you are told, when you are told to do it, to the best of your ability, even if you hate the task in question. There's another word for that, it's called slavery. I thought they abolished that. Remarkably, there are certain rule-free schools actually in existence today. Whilst these would not be the same as in a resource-based economy, they do provide evidence to suggest that a more liberating approach to education can increase the intrinsic desire of the student to learn. Two examples of this to check out would be the democratic school system in the States and the Summerhill School here in the UK. At these schools, teachers and pupils arrive at decisions together, and children do not have to go to lessons if they don't want to. Now, you'd be forgiven for thinking that these children would not be able to reach a decent academic standard at such schools and would simply muck around all day, but you would be wrong. Because the fact is that the kids at these schools attain the necessary GCSE results even though they don't have to. More importantly, in all the independent reports done on these schools, the kids are found to be absorbed in learning, happier, creative, have a strong moral sense of right and wrong, a good community spirit, a fantastic ability to communicate constructively in general conversation. This shouldn't be a surprise. Kids are born with an inquisitive nature to learn about the world around them. They don't need to be forced. It isn't their fault that the lesson's so drab, uninspiring and utterly boring that they've switched off. Maybe it could be that the child was not given a choice in how they would like to learn the topic in question. Or perhaps it's because the teacher is really thinking of the money he or she will be paid at the end of the month and hitting academic targets rather than making the content of what is actually being taught relevant and interesting. So because of this ill-informed judgment that kids do not want to learn, we've decided to turn to using extrinsic motivators in an attempt to incentivize them, which actually ends up making the problem you're trying to solve even worse. Therefore, I have a collection of activities and presentations at the site that members themselves can take into their local schools to start informing the adults of tomorrow about the ideas behind a resource-based economy, so we can start to help to show them that learning should be cherished and never a chore. Forgive me, but I couldn't resist. This personifies the adult world rather well, I feel. As this picture points out, adults tend to take a lot longer time to get their head around the concepts we discuss. For the most part, they've been surviving by doing the exact opposite for so long that the thought of questioning their current social status quo and apparatus seems completely asinine to them, regardless of its merits. Kids, on the other hand, have not been fully indoctrinated into this system as yet and are therefore still able to grasp the incredibly simple notions proposed by the Venus Project. This is why those of us that can should start to focus our attentions on informing the youth of our communities of this new direction in fun and engaging ways. The Zeitgeist movement is an activist educational movement explicitly, so we have to ask ourselves the question, what is the most effective way to get this message across to the world at large? In reality, we live in a monetary-based society, and there's a word for what you have to do when you're trying to get an idea across to people in this culture. It's called marketing. We must start to be strategic and approach those who will understand what we are talking about in the most effective way possible, rather than wasting our time with people who just don't get it. I'm not knocking any form of communication per se, although I would say even myself that I spend too long on the middle one. Or suggesting that we shouldn't answer our critics, far from it. I merely want everyone here to question the approach they're using to see if they feel it's getting the message across effectively into the right demographic. The simple fact is that the youth of today are more in tune with the notions of protecting the environment due to climate change and environmental issues now being propagated in the mainstream media and in schools. In my experience, they're ready to hear what we are saying with a far more open mind than the older generations are. Also, on a more pragmatic note, they'll be around for a lot longer to be able to push for this direction than any adult will be. That may seem harsh and cold, but it's true. We all have old schools, for example. Why not give them a call to see if you can do a presentation there? In the UK, we have the perfect opportunity to do this with what's called citizenship lessons or general studies. I'd never done a presentation of this kind before, but I'm a big believer in jumping in the deep end and learning to swim. So, I ended up talking to a captive audience of 180 kids and teachers at a secondary school I teach at about the Zeitgeist movement and the Venus Project. And here's the bottom line. The bottom line is that if even 200,000 members of the Zeitgeist movement did this and went to just one school and talked to 180 kids as I did, then we could potentially reach approximately 36 million young adults about to enter this system. If we are an activist educational movement, then activities like this are imperative. We must make sure we are walking the walk and not just talking the talk, myself included. That is why I've been into several schools to do everything from playing collaborative games with 7-year-olds to giving full presentations on the Venus Project to 17-year-olds. One example I'd like to share with you is a game I played for the 5 to 10 age range, where you take 3 hoops and put them in a row at equal distances of a few meters apart. In the middle hoop you have an uneven number of bean bags, and at the other hoops you have an even number of kids per side. The rules are that you have to get as many bean bags in your team's hoop as possible, and you're only allowed to carry 1 bag at a time. Other than that, try not to kill each other, but anything goes. I'm sure you can imagine the chaos that ensued. Before long, there were bean bags up jumpers, throwing the bags from the middle hoop to their own and all sorts. Occasionally I'd stop the game and count up the bean bags, and then the team with the more bean bags, you know, as they were cheering their supposed victory, I would remind the opposite team that the game was not over and the chaos would start all over again. After a while of this, I stopped the game and asked them how long this could go on for, to which, of course, they replied, "Forever!" I then asked what the solution was, and one child got it. Anybody got any ideas? Sorry? Joint teams. Yeah, you're going in the right direction. Hey! Got it. Put all the hoops together and put the bean bags in the middle. The only way to win was to share, and the seed has been planted, so to speak. I think this game personifies our current social paradigm rather eloquently myself. We could stop the game anytime we like. It's ideas like this. Thank you. As Bill Hicks said, it's just a choice, people, between fear and love. Right, it's ideas like this that came from members' contributions. I now need a team of people to help me correlate all the necessary studies for the site and to contribute any ideas that you consider useful with regards to helping to get this message across to the younger generations. The project is still in the developmental stages, so please do let me know if you want to be involved and can help me by emailing the website at www.tzmeducation.org. Obviously, don't email the website, go to the contact section. Right? But yeah, the children of today deserve a better tomorrow than the one currently on offer. The time to start making that tomorrow a reality is today. Many thanks.
Hello? Yeah. A magnificent Jim Phillips.